Hey there, everyone. Sometimes we get so caught up in these large-scale disasters like EMPs, economic collapse, or civil unrest that we forget about the smaller ones, the natural disasters. To be truly prepared, we need to take into consideration these smaller disasters, the natural disasters, as well as the large-scale disasters. I put together this list of 10 things that we should be doing right now. And as we go through this list, give yourself a check mark or a point for every one that you get right. See if you can get 10 out of 10. If not, you might have a little bit of work to do. The first one I've got on this list is making sure you have enough food stored. Now, FEMA says you need 3 days worth of food stored. As preppers, we're kind of like FEMA on steroids, so I think it's a little bit more than that. But at the very least, you should have 3 days worth of food. And this also means not just food around the house, but food to take with you if you need to evacuate or bug out. Number 2 is make sure you have some cash set aside. This could be cash in a safe. This could be cash in your wallet. I think we should all have cash, some amount of cash in our wallet. This could be $100, it could be $50, it could be $20, just as long as we have some cash when and if maybe the ATMs don't work. Having cash that you save up every month is also a good idea. So make sure you have some cash if you need to get gas or something like that and the credit card machines are down, you're able to do that. Number 3 is make sure you have water stored. And this is another one of those that seems kind of obvious, but we need to make sure that if something happens, we at least have a gallon of water per day per person in our family. And this doesn't just mean around the house. This means having water ready to go if you need to evacuate, so you have all of that stuff with you. So if you've got that right, make sure you give yourself a point there. You should have 3 points right now. The next one I have here is, do you have out-of-area emergency contact information? And this is important to have this written down. Maybe get a credit card-sized card that you put in your wallet, because these days nobody really knows anybody's phone number. It's just a name in our address book on our phones. So it's important to have this written down and on us. It's important to have these people out of the immediate area because we might need their support. We might need to contact them to let them know we're okay, or even have them come help us. So anybody that's out of the area doesn't necessarily mean out of the state. Maybe it does. But anybody that might be out of that specific area that we're in. So make sure if you've got the emergency contact information for people outside of your area, give yourself another point. The next one here is, do you have a plan for your family? And this is something everyone should have, the evacuation routes, what to do in certain situations. This you'd have to figure out for yourself what natural disasters are prone in your area, whether that's tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, flooding, earthquakes, all that different stuff. Make sure you have a plan in place for evacuation, whether that be out of the house or out of the neighborhood, and make sure the whole family understands that plan. So if you have that one written down, give yourself a check mark. The next one I have here is, do you know where you're going to go? Do you have a bug out location, whether that's a friend's house, a family member's house? Do they know that you're coming if something like this happens? So have a place to go. That way when you're formulating this plan, you know exactly where you're going. And this also includes your pets. A lot of people don't really think about their pets in a situation like this, but you've got a family dog or a cat, the odds are they're going with you. Make sure this place that you have is going to be suitable for them. If it's a family member or friend, make sure that they know you're bringing your dog with you and make sure that's okay. So if you've got that one taken care of, go ahead and give yourself another point. And then number 7 here is, you have a good first aid kit. And this first aid kit isn't something you buy at the dollar store or Walmart that just has the Band-Aids, the gauze pads, and some antibiotic ointment in it. Good first aid kit in natural disasters, we're going to need more than the Band-Aids and stuff. So we need to make sure we have stuff like the Israeli bandages, the ACE wraps, all of that different stuff that we might need that might be useful in some sort of disaster situation. So if you have that, give yourself another point. And then the next one here is actually knowing how to use that stuff. If having the first aid training, whether that's videos you watched on YouTube, whether it's taking courses online, taking courses in person, knowing how to use the Israeli bandages, the tourniquets, knowing how to do CPR, all of that stuff could be really important. Having the stuff is, almost pointless if you don't know how to use this stuff. So make sure you know how to use it. And on the same lines as that, make sure your whole family knows how to use that stuff as well, because Like with my situation, Lisa is an RN and she's got everything pretty much covered. But if she's incapacitated, I'm left holding the bag, so I need to understand that stuff as well. Number 9 here is not only having a plan, but practicing that plan. Making sure your whole family is on board and understands what to do. Kind of like a fire drill in school. The kids and everything aren't all that into it, except for the fact they get out of class. But when the time comes, when that situation arises, they're going to have that in their brain and they're going to know what to do in that situation. So practice that plan. Practice everybody understanding what supplies they're responsible for, loading up the truck or the car, escaping, getting out of the house, what they would do if they were in a certain room and the house started on fire. All of that stuff is important to practice and make sure everybody is on the same page. That way you're not running around with like chickens with your heads cut off when something does happen. So if you've got that, go ahead and give yourself another point. And then finally here, number 10 is make sure your car is in good working condition. Make sure that everything's going to work like it's supposed to if you do need to bug out. Because the last thing you want to do is to be traveling somewhere and think you're on the road to safety and then your car craps out on you. Make sure you have always make sure you have more than a half a tank of gas. Our rule of thumb is a half a tank is empty. You don't want to be traveling somewhere and then run out of gas and then you're hoofing it. Make sure you have good tires, make sure your brakes are good, make sure your oil's changed. Your car is going to be your mobility, so you really need to take care of that. Otherwise, you could find yourself on foot and you wouldn't have the ability to carry or to transport all of those supplies that you need. So this is a pretty basic list. If you got 10 out of 10, good for you. If you've got 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10, maybe you can see what some areas are that you need to address. Sometimes we get so focused on these bigger events, or we get focused on learning bushcraft skills and first aid skills, that we forget about the little stuff that truly is right outside our door. So preparing, planning, all of that different stuff and practicing that plan, it's all important. We went into a lot more detail in the podcast this week about all of this stuff, the preparing for natural disasters. So make sure and listen to that. When it comes out, I'll leave a link below this video. But that's it for today. We'll talk to everybody later. Make sure and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you later.